So, I really think today's episode of the podcast is going to be a huge resource for up and coming and aspiring producers. Our guest is Hobin Rude, and Hobin is one of the most passionate producers I've met in this progressive underground scene, and I think it's best displayed by the consistency and quality of his output of productions and remixes. I mean, Hobin's an absolute machine, but what I got from this conversation that I just had with him was that at the center of this for him is just all about having fun. Talking to him was an absolute joy. He has great energy. He's exactly the type of person you hope to meet in this scene. And I really think his consistency, his quality, and his approach and his attitude toward this music makes him one of the producers that moving forward is going to continue to push forward this sound. He goes into a lot of technical advice, a lot of philosophical advice when it comes to production. So again, if you're an up and coming or an aspiring producer or already a very accomplished producer in your own right, I hope there is something in this for you, and I really hope you enjoy it. Thank you. Super Progressive, what is good? Another episode of the Super Progressive podcast. And as we've been doing, it's been a real joy for me to be featuring more and more prolific producers on the podcast to try and get inside their mind, understand what it takes to be a producer in the progressive underground, learn some of their techniques, hear about some of their exciting projects. And our guest today is truly one of the most prolific producers in the underground scene. We met for the first time at the Proton Mixer at ADE. It was such a surprise to me to see you there. But truth be told, ever since the start of this year, you have been one of the most reliable artists in terms of when I open up Beatport, more times than not, there's a new track from you. And that track automatically gets added to the Progressive Radar playlist because I've just come to expect nothing but quality from you.
Thank you so much.
Supported by the biggest DJs in the world. Our guest today is Hobin Rude. Hobin, how are you doing, man?
Hello, dear Will. Thank you so much for this wonderful introduction. It really is a huge honor for me to do this with you, and I can't tell you how much I respect everything you've been doing for our scene. So I have nothing but respect and gratefulness for you as well. Thank you, man.
Uh, no, thank you, man. That's really, really nice of you to say. And let's start with this. Where are you based? And can you tell us a little bit about the progressive scene there?
Oh, so we're starting like that. Of course, of course. Yeah, I'm based in Belgrade, Serbia. I'm a proud Serbian. It's a small country in southeastern Europe, and our progressive scene. It's always like a really hard subject which I like to go back to actually. We have a big, and I'll start like that, and I think it's the proper way. We have a big community over here that actually was my backbone from day one, and it's Progressive Nasuza. I think you heard it. We've been
Of
uh,
course.
we've been a big family since day one, and we've been trying, and we still are trying to push the scene and the sound over here, which I'm not gonna lie, it's super hard. It's super hard just hopping on a scene, and especially in this region where it really isn't that big, just trying to give people something new. I mean, new for them, of course. So it has been a struggle, really is, regarding everything, regarding the attendance, regarding people supporting, especially the local artists, um, and everything that goes with it. But you know, uh, all the beautiful things in life aren't usually that easy. So I'm sure we won't give up, and that's what I promised to myself from day one. I would never give up, and I feel obliged in a way to present the sound to my country and to present my country with my sound, if I can say it like that. So that's all in all I can say.
I think you guys do such a great job of sharing your scene with the rest of the world, but also sharing your enthusiasm for the global progressive scene through your community. I feel like even with your community being based in Serbia, uh, every gig I go to, there's someone from the Progressivna community
Yeah,
uh, there. So and you guys do a great job of not only supporting local talent, but you guys really do a great job of bringing international DJs
yeah.
to play in Belgrade.
Yeah. We've been doing it for years and years now. This year, we've been on a bit of a break, which didn't mean it doesn't mean we stopped. We just had a break to, how to say, um, I can say, recalculate, regroup, and just start doing something over and over again. And we've been a really, really big family. All of us are close friends. And I'll speak from my point of view. I would never forget what they did for me. From day one, I've been doing this for like almost 8 years, but like from day one, they were there. They were supporting me. They were giving me, that push when I needed it. They were just sharing my tracks. They were there to share a word, to share a nice word, which for a young artist always means a lot, to give me my first chances to present my music. And who knows, will I continue be doing this if there wasn't them at the first place, just giving me that starting point. So, and regarding the other stuff, yeah, we've been bringing a lot of artists to Serbia for the first time, which we are really proud of. And we've been organizing festivals, Avanturia, which is also a bit on hold, but it doesn't mean we're gonna stop. So, just trying and giving our heart and emotion. I think that's the best word that can describe us as an organization. Just giving everything we can from pure love, not from, I don't know, financial stuff or anything, just from pure love. But I'll be honest, and this is my way to say it out loud. We need more support from the local community to make this work, to bring you guys something new. When I say you guys, I mean our communities in Serbia and the region, to bring you guys something new, to get you involved in something for you new, which, trust me, you will fall in love with. But we need more support, and I really hope we can get it in the next years to follow.
Yeah, definitely. Let's move on to your career, and we're gonna jump all around here. But
Yes.
you said you've been producing for 8 years now, and I really hope that this episode can be a resource for a lot of up and coming producers and aspiring producers out there. When I know you as a producer, like I said, incredibly prolific and consistent. When did it start to click for you across your production journey? When on that 8 year timeline, do you think kind of the switch flipped and you're like, okay, I am actually at a level, the consistency is what I'm getting at here. When did things start to become
Yeah.
very consistent for you?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna start. I'm not producing for 8 years. It's actually six. I've been a
Okay.
DJ for 8 years, but 2 years after I started producing, just putting myself into it. Actually, I've always, in high school and everywhere, I was always, how to say, clicking. I won't call it producing, but I was clicking, in FL Studio in Ableton, just being from curiosity. But when I really started, and to answer your question, when it clicked for me, I think it was 2020 when I actually released my first track with my friend Nemo. That back then, it's called Hare Hare, and it was out on I'm Different label from my friend Veljko. And to be honest, that track I wasn't doing so much technically. It was more of that my other friend producer Nemo who was doing it technically. But I saw that how to say, I have a feeling for it, that I know how the arrangement should go, that I know like the dynamics, but I didn't know to do it technically as I would want to. And that's when that was when the click happened, when I was like, but why do I don't know it? I should know it. Let us learn it. And then I just remember for those almost 5 years now, day in and day out, especially in that first year. I remember I was going to university. I wasn't even sleeping, and just all night I'm trying to process my kick, to get my sub bass frequency it needs and whatnot, and just don't sleep just to improve myself, and to train, to shape my shakers, to boost the transients. So I won't bother enough, but uh, yeah. So 2020 was a turning year for me, and I'm still learning. We all are. I'm sure we all are, day by day, and that's the most and best advice I can give to all the producers, younger ones or the new ones, or everyone starting out. Please, guys, enjoy the process. This is the most beautiful thing you have in production. It's not signing for a label. I mean, it's beautiful, of course, but enjoy the process, enjoy your development, from day one to day X or Y, just enjoy the way you're developing as an artist. And that's the most beautiful thing when you listen to your track 4 years ago and when you listen to 4 years after. And that's why, for example, now when I listen to my tracks 5 years ago, I swear, I feel proud that the tracks sound bad, and they are bad in a way. But that's my maximum at that point, and that gives me so much happiness, and how to say, I feel so proud that you know I gave my all at that point, and I can keep kept to improve as an artist and to get it at some level that's decent, I guess, right now.
If, if you look at your tracks at the beginning
Yeah,
and look at your tracks now,
yeah,
what are some things that have remained consistent in your approach to producing that gives, in your opinion, gives your track the Hobin Rude sound or the Hobin Rude character?
yeah. Uh, Great question. Thank you. So, from the day one and the day one I started producing, I always liked the ambience, the cinematic kind of drones, the breakdowns, the ambience that can leave the listener escape for a while, that can close his eyes. It's usually dark, but it doesn't necessarily have to be dark. It just has to have that ambience and that soul in the ambience where you can, float, where you don't need to hear the drums. You can just listen. And from the day one, I was always like that. I was always, into those kind of ambiental sounds, and that's something that I think remained the same. Of course, I've evolved it over years, in a good way, I think. So that's what always remained the same, and just the rest, as I grew as an artist, I improved my skills in the rest of the production department, if I can say like that.
What are I'm asking these specific questions because
Of course,
you're extremely knowledgeable about production, and I think a lot of up and coming producers can look to you as a role model, as someone who
thank you, Will.
started this and like recently, more or less, and
Yeah,
has
yeah,
continued to progress and progress. What have been some essential plugins that you find that um, at any stage in your career are kind of essential to your sound, but also helped you unlock the sounds that you were going after?
yeah. So my essential plugin and my favorite all-time plugin is Hive, without any doubt. I just love the sound design in it. It's pretty simple. It's straightforward. Also, like, maybe it's funny to some guys, but I like the design. I don't like the design of plugins to warm my eyes and to be tired of it. It's just pretty subtle. I really enjoy the way I can play with oscillators, the way I can play with wavetails, with everything. It's just super simple for me, and that was my go-to plugin for sound design, for basses, for almost everything all the time. Even though of course, I use Diva, I use Serum, I use Arturia, everything, but also Valhalla Shimmer and Valhalla Delay, especially for that, which I want to present, those kind of ambiental escape, kind of a vibe. Valhalla Shimmer and Valhalla Delay was my go-to combo. You have to be careful with it, of course, because if you go over the top, it can become muddy and it can bring up the frequencies you don't really want, especially on the dance floor. But when you get used to it and when you get the feel of what you actually want, it's just a big weapon, man. And that has been my go-to, if I can say it like that.
Definitely. And um, another aspect of improving as a producer is there's so many different places to find lessons, to find tutorials, to find ways to improve. But what kind of system did you set up for yourself when you wanted to do something? You wanted to learn a new production skill. Where would you go to learn that skill, and what was your process for practicing that skill to add it to your tool belt?
So what I like to say about production in general, it's a thing you can steal if it isn't like a, how to say, a harsh word to say. What I did when I was starting off, it's I looked up to my favorite producers, for example, Subandrio, I don't know, Ezekiel Arias, and guys like that, and was taking their track and putting it in my Ableton. what was I doing? I was analyzing it the way that I was looking. Where are they making changes? How is the arrangement working? When is the lead coming up? When is it auto filtering on and off? When are the new shakers coming out? When, just trying to copy. That's why I said steal. Trying to copy, and the best way to learn is to copy. Of course, on YouTube you have numerous. That's a big plus of nowadays time we're living in, because you have so a big amount of free content. Actually, free content you can use. I've been on YouTube since my day one. I still am. Just I see new guys coming up. For example, I really want to point out and say one more time, big thank you to Dowden and his production school. I'm still learning from it. I'm being a Patreon, and like what that guy that did for our scene and the way he improved all of us is just inevitable. So Brandon, thank you, my man. I'm a huge fan of yours. I'm still learning, and we have to do the track we've been talking about for for a long time. So that's what I also advise to all the producers that ask me about it. Guys, there's a huge amount of free content, not to mention paid ones, one-on-one coaching, stuff like that. You can really use and in your production regarding every genre, not just progressive. So that was my go-to. I was just putting a track in my Ableton where I started a new project, for example, from Suba, and I was just listening and analyzing. I have a notebook as well, really, where I'm writing. What am I doing? Okay, Suba on 2 minutes 33 seconds. Suba is adding a new lead. It's going out to filter on till the break, then it's stopping. And I have a notebook. It's in my in my desk. So that's my advice, guys. Don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to explore, and don't be afraid to copy someone. And then from that point, evolve to your sound, because you cannot evolve from day one. You don't have the knowledge at that point. So don't be afraid to follow somebody's lead at the beginning, and from that on, when you have a certain amount of knowledge, to make something of your own, just to improve it, to develop it. So yeah,
It's so much fun talking to you about this because
thank you.
um, I can feel your passion, but I can feel that you're like constantly in a state of learning, which
Yeah,
is
always,
which is
always.
which is amazing. How do you balance let's say this.
Sorry.
Do you view sound design when it comes to production? Do you view sound design and arrangement as kind of two separate skills to focus on and one that may come easier?
Yes,
Like part of it may come easier to you and other is more challenging?
yes, I actually do. And also, if I can advise, I'm advising all the time. I'm sorry
Yeah.
for that.
No, no,
Yeah,
again, this is for up and coming producers to be
yeah, I see.
inspired from and
Yeah,
learn from.
yeah, guys. My first advice always, uh, sound design you learn last. Sound design, in my opinion, is the most complex, or one of the most complex parts in production. And usually, all the sample pack, that kind of how to say, go to or no go to words in this in this world. Use sample packs, guys. Don't be afraid to use them. Don't be those kind of guys like, hey, you're using hats, you're using shakers. Sample packs are made by sound engineers, the guys who have thousands and thousands of euros of equipment. And I'm not saying that you should just put 100 samples in a track and just make a puzzle out of it and be that way. Of course not. You're going to learn sound design, but don't be afraid to use that shaker sample, to use that head sample, to use that percussion sample, to keep your workflow faster, to make it the main arrangement. And from that on, just go after. For example, I had some of my students. I recently started also giving one-on-one lessons, and the first thing the guy asked me, I'm not going to say any names, sorry man if you're listening to this, but I have to say it. You're a good example. The first thing he asked me is, how can I make a kick out of a sim wave? And I was like, man, I think we should do the basics first. We should do the way you want your to sound, the way you should arrange the track, because not every arrangement is the same. Not every arrangement of a slower track is the same. Not every arrangement of every genre is the same. Sometimes you want a longer breakdown with a subtle groove. Sometimes you want a pure explosive track with bass going throughout from minute one to the last minute. So it's different. And my always and honest advice is, guys, master the arrangement first and try to make your signature arrangement which will follow you, because making your signature arrangement will help you make your signature sound, and those things are usually combined. So sound design comes last. When you see you can make an arrangement, when you see what you miss, what you lack in tracks, then you can go and make a kick out of a synth wave. Then you can go, design your synths from scratch and stuff like that. Don't be
Yeah.
afraid to use presets. Don't be afraid to use shakers, hats. Don't be afraid from samples. Don't be afraid of them.
And speaking with so many producers, including like legends like Jamie Stevens, there seems to be a way to take either a loop or a sample and still make it your own
Of course.
while using it as a foundation, let's say. In terms of audio processing and effects, can you share a little bit about your approach in terms of turning a sample or shaker loop or whatever, something like that, and how you like to go about turning that into something that's unique to yourself as a producer?
Yeah, if we speaking, for example, samples, the really good way in it, and they're playful. Like when you get to a certain point on production, when you learn things, you can do millions of things with samples. You can make a vocal chop out of sample, and I'm not even kidding. Like you cut it out, you transpose it 20 semitones down, you put on some the delay and reverb, and you literally get a transient kind of a gnarly sound or something like that. So that's just one of the ways you can play with millions of samples. Regarding the effects and stuff, it's are crucial, in my opinion, in this kind of music, progressive house, deep progressive house, and I can say like that, they wear a crucial role, because deep progressive house is all about atmosphere, and they make that spacious, if I can say like that, vibe where you can just float into it, and they full out the track. But you also have to be really careful, with phase cancellation if you're using a lot of delay and stuff. I'm not gonna bother you too much in detail. Sorry, guys, if I go too
No,
deep.
this is what we're after. This is for
Yeah, if
the,
I
everyone likes to get really specific with the with listening
yeah
to these episodes. So,
yeah, you gotta go. You can go really deep with them, and they're a crucial part. For example, in my tracks, I'll be honest, I have like 5 channels of only effects, and it's like 50 of them maybe. Some of them I make, some of them I take from sample packs and then chop it as I told, and stuff like that. But I have around 50 different kinds of effects in tracks, which is quite a lot. But that's what brings your track. That's what Some effects just how to say show up once in a track, and they never show up again. And that's a big thing in production, guys. Always have, always have. There's no rules, but you should have a sound that only comes once or twice and never comes back, because that's what keeps your track intriguing, and that's what differentiates you, if I can say like that.
the last kind of production-based question I have is this
Yes.
is um, remixing. You
Yeah.
are a prolific remixer. In my opinion,
Thank
from
you.
the outside, remixing looks like one of the most delicate aspects of being a producer and cultivating that skill because you're balancing two things. You want to honor the original track and potentially keep the spirit or the essence of the original track alive, but you also want to infuse your own artistry into the track and transform it from someone else's original creation into a track of your own and your own interpretation um, on that track. How do you like to go about doing that? Does it differ track to track, or do you have kind of a greater philosophy that you kind of bring to each remix that you do?
Thanks again for this question. I've been, really enjoying my path as a remixer. When I was starting off, I found it really hard to do it for some reasons, because I was trying to adapt to the vibe, of the original track, which in my opinion is a mistake. Of course, you're gonna adapt a bit, but at the end of the day, the guy who approached you, or the label who approached you because of your sound. So the way here is to combine best of both worlds, and my ways here were always trying to listen to the foundation of the track first. If it is too happy, I'm not gonna take it usually, because to be honest, I don't really like happy music, and as you can hear probably from my
Yeah.
production. And the second thing is, I think I wouldn't do a good job, like for example, somebody else would, and I would go out of my, how to say, usual routine, and to be honest, it wouldn't be something I really like. So I always listen to the track first. Usually, people always who send me the remix request know, like, what can I do from the track, and send me the track, how to say, what I can work with in terms of, using the stuff which I can combine with my unique, with my own sound. So what I do is always listen to it first, from literally first to last kick, and see, okay, what can I do here? This track has amazing vocal chop. I'm gonna use it and combine it with my atmosphere. Oh, this, or for example, this track has a great lead. This is gonna be my main lead, and I'm gonna make a whole track around it. Or this track has a great groove. I can use this groove and combine it with, I don't know, just some fill synths, and also give my ambience to it. So it's always around the track, but with giving your signature sound, because that's what it's all about in remix. Some people don't really like it. I had, experiences when I do a remix for an artist, and he isn't satisfied because he's like, yo, bro, this sounds like an original track, which I also respect. Some people, want literally to use every single one of their channels, and just do some kind of a small tweaks. In my opinion, that isn't a remix. That's kind of a rework or something. So that's why usually for now, I'm happy that I didn't have many complaints. But yeah, it is challenging, but it's beautiful at the same time. I really enjoy remixing. I think I always will.
Amazing, man. Now kind of shifting, before I even get to kind of how you got into this music in the first place, I want to ask you about one thing that I think is really important is with your productions, you clearly are getting better and better. Any producer getting better and better with each track you make. What kind of goals are you setting for yourself to set yourself on a path of improvement? Maybe not so much goals like I want to release on this label or this label, but I want this track to, in my opinion, be 5% better than my last track and just improving each track, track by track. But how are you setting up a system where you feel like you are improving with purpose within your productions?
That's a great question, honestly. So the thing is, from day to day, you're always improving, in whichever aspect of life. If you're working on yourself, that's my point of view. Regarding labels, to be honest, from day one, I only had one dream, and it's the release on Sudbeat, and it happened last year. Regarding everything else, I was just enjoying the process. I think Mike Rish, because I watch all your interviews, Mike Rish said something like that. He said, guys, just don't make, when you make music, don't make it exclusively like you're making for a label. Do something you love, from your heart, from your passion, and the label will come. Like, if they want to sign it, great. If not, that's something you did because you love it. And trust me, from that perspective, when you do something not for a label, of course later on labels will ask you, you'll do something for a label in general. But when you're doing it for your own, Friday night, you don't feel like going out. You're, on your computer, when you're set up, your synths are there, everything. Enjoy, sip yourself a drink, enjoy, and just do what you love. Do that melody from your heart, and if you feel like releasing, release. If not, it's great. You did something with purpose. So that's, what was my go-to at the beginnings as well. I was never, making a track, okay, for this particular label, especially when I was starting off. For this label, of course, if you want to release somewhere, you're gonna, adapt a bit to it. You're gonna tweak it a bit. But I did everything I really enjoyed to. I like listening. Maybe this is a bit, egoistic, but I like listening to my tracks from time to time. Not because, I'm bragging myself. It's because, just like, I really enjoyed, at the moment, doing it. And for example, in my opinion, my favorite tracks I did by myself are the tracks when I was most heartbroken. Regarding some, I don't know, relationship ending, or just some hard periods in life. uh it bring, something more from me, and that connects exactly with that feeling when you do something from true passion, from not releasing to this label, from not getting gigs, from not, I don't know, getting girls or anything. It's just because you really enjoy it, and love it. And that is again, my advice, guys, love, enjoy the process from day one to day two. Okay, my kick was worse 2 weeks before. Now I know where to boost the hertzage. Okay, shakers. How can I make it more full? What's the velocity? Let's put it. Let's try it. Oh, it gives the white noise to it, and stuff like small achievements from day to day. Don't give yourself achievement from day one. Hey, I'm gonna release you on Anjuna Deep in a month. You're not. I'm sorry to say it like that. You're not. Not because you're bad or not because you cannot do it. You can, but give yourself small tasks. Give yourself enjoyment. Enjoy the process, and just go from day to day. And trust me, guys, you will go wherever you want.
Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome advice.
Yeah,
Thank you for going so deep on
always,
the
man. Yeah.
production side of it. How did you first get into underground electronic music, taking it all the way back?
So I started, as I told you, I started 8 years ago when my one of my best friends, Luca, who was a DJ at times, introduced me to this world. I was a party, if I can say it like that, a club DJ playing commercial music at start, and I'm not ashamed to say it. Like when I was like 17, 18, I started. I was playing those kind of club music, tech house, and stuff like that. I've never really enjoyed it, to be honest. But if you ask me, would I change it for anything? No, I wouldn't. What I really learned in those kind of parties is I learned to read the crowd, because the crowd is very different in those kind of parties than it is now when we go to an event. So that was an inevitable experience for me when I learned so much about the scene. And when I started, I was always listening to progressive. 2014 was my first touch to it. I have a photo I will show you once, and I showed it to Hernan this year. I played with him in Belgrade. I was 16 years old. It was like 2014. I was in my high school on a math class. I was sleeping, of course, because who doesn't sleep on math class? And I was sleeping, and I had my headphones in with the phone, and my friend was video recording me. And on the phone, it was Hernan Catania resident. So that was my start. When I first listened to him, I was like, hey, I was playing basketball at moments, and it was, just every time I was going to practice, it was just progressive. I discovered it. It was moving me, even though I was really young at times. I was 16 years old, but I enjoyed so much that groove, that South American vibe, that was pushing me, but it wasn't going over the top. It was just what I needed. And every time, for example, I play a party, I play music I don't really like. When I was young, I come back home, I listen to Hernan, and it started so 8 years ago, and from year to year I was getting more as I was maturing and growing as a person. It was just dragging me deeper into it, into this world, and I'm truly grateful for it, because progressive was always there for me, and I cannot be thankful enough.
Yeah, that's awesome. And when you started to get into, well, let's say this, what inspired you to make the jump into production? Was it just you saying, I love this music, I want to continue to make a contribution, and I want to continue to evolve
Exactly.
my passion?
Exactly, you said. Sorry if I interrupted you.
No, you're good.
Exactly what you said. Just that passion, where I hear those producers that I can gladly say are my friends right now, that I hear them from years, just bringing a smile to my face when I listen to their track. Waking up at 7 a.m. for university and just playing a track from Antrim and being happy all of a sudden, or something like that. I was like, hey, I want to do this as well. I want to bring a smile to people's face. If it's only one person, if I make one person smile and be happy, my goal here is done. So that was my point of view. I just wanted to contribute as much as I could, uh, and that's my goal till the end. I just want to make people happy, uh, and I to make my country and my people happy. And I also feel, as I said in the first part of the interview, I feel obliged now when I can say I'm I'm a progressive house artist that's also traveling, that's touring. I feel obliged to represent my country, to represent my people, and that's what really pushing me forward. I like to go abroad and say where I'm from gladly, to represent family values, to represent everything we've been doing for years. So one love for Serbia, my country, and uh, I love you guys, and I'll always represent you the best way I can. I promise that.
Who were some, you mentioned Antrim. You mentioned in the past like Ezekiel. Who are some of the producers that got you into this music that you continue to just look up to in some ways today?
Do you ask me for producers, like
Yeah,
particular
producers.
producers? Okay, the sound I really always enjoyed and still enjoy is Subandrio. Like I like his rolling groove. That was always I. That's what I said in the first part of the interview. When I was learning, I was, putting Subandrio's tracks into my arrangement, and it was like this, for hours and hours, just trying to figure out how does he do it, how does he progress, how does he do the arrangement and stuff. So Subandrio was there. Also Ezekiel, of course, Mariano Melino, Antrim, Nicolas Rada, all the Argentinians who always bring, those kind of their significant sound. Their Argentinians have a truly significant sound. So Jim Jan Matter, of course, from day one. There's a lot of them actually. So if I can, go like this, I wouldn't stop.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
if I can say one that really influenced me, and I was like, I want to make something like this, was Subandria, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
awesome, man. He's such
yeah,
a nice guy. I got to meet him for
yeah,
the first time at ADE.
yeah,
Um, you've, in terms of labels you've worked with,
yeah.
you're ticking the top labels off of your list. You've released on Beat, a bunch of releases with Mango Alley, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, yes.
Obviously, Progressive Souza. Um, is there a label that, and I know we don't make music for labels, but in terms of setting hypothetical goals, is there a label that you would like to release on one day?
Yes, there actually is quite a lot of them. Some of them I signed right now, but I cannot really speak about it
Yeah.
since it's not official. There is one. It's Balance, of course. So I would really like. I was sending tracks. We were still, not exactly there, but uh, I have some really. I have some tracks I've really worked on. I would like to submit there. So Balance and of course Anjuna Deep one day. I don't really think my sound fits to Anjuna Deep, but that's where you make the adjustment. If you really want something, you have to make adjustment. But I'll try my best. To be honest, Will, I don't have any, how to say, must do's in my production life anymore. I'm super happy in my musical career as well. In general, I swear, Will, I feel so fulfilled. I feel so happy and honored for everything that happened to me, for everything. Don't get me wrong. If I don't want to be, to sound, I know, cocky or something, but for everything I've did, uh, I'm super honored and proud of myself as well, because I did it, from this room you see right now, and because I did it, everyone can, and it's just, it's been a long ride, and I like to reflect on it from time to time. It's been a long ride, but really a beautiful one that inspired me in every part of my life. So
Yeah.
that, yeah,
I have
balance,
I have a question for you
of course.
about you just said that like, producer, it's all like making adjustments is a huge thing. How do you cope with being open-minded to your sound and your interests changing over time? And if that leads you into a new direction that may be a little different from what your longtime fans may know your sound to be, how do you lean into uh, even individual tracks that may showcase a different side of you?
Okay, so I'll elaborate on this question really in depth. What keeps me, how to say, if I understand your question well, you asked me, how do I, keep my sound and not get kind of, monotonous, bored with it when I make it. So there's a pretty simple question answer to that. I do ghost production of every genre you can
Oh
maybe.
my gosh, nice.
Yeah. So I do. Maybe it isn't really, how to say, a good thing for the industry in a point, but I'm not gonna go into depths
Yeah.
about it. I mean, everybody has, of course, their right to do anything. I do all genres except techno. I'm really bad at techno still, but that's the way. I do tech house, I do afro house, I do melodic techno, and when I get tired of progressive, which we all do, somebody who says I'm not getting tired of producing, lies. We all get those kind of periods when you just don't want to produce, you don't want to listen progressive, and in that points I just do ghost production. I do 5 tracks of tech house. I don't like tech house, don't get me wrong, But I go out of my comfort zone. I do something different. When I, how to say, freshen up, when I regroup and my mind's freshen up, and then when I come back to progressive, I'm like, whew, Kevin, I like this.
Yeah.
Let's do it. So I have a simple solution to that. I do ghost production for other people, and therefore I refresh from time to time when I feel overwhelmed with production. I do other genres, and then I feel good coming back.
And then what about for Hobin Rude Productions? Do you ever feel like you want to put out something? You have this kind of darker, deep sound, but if you go through a life experience when you want to say you want to do something a little bit more celestial or a little bit more light, are those projects that you lean into, or are those things maybe you do but they don't always get released? What's your approach with that?
Yeah. Regarding that, I have like a free track EP. I did like 6 or 7 months ago. That's You can still hear it's mine, but it's really different. It's not that dark. It's kind of sad if I can say it like that, because at the moment, I'll be 100% transparent with you. My heart was literally, falling to pieces, and I think I said it on Instagram. The only person that has those free tracks is Hernan, and he played all three of them. So thank you. uh, and those are the tracks that I really, how to say, went out of my comfort zone, where I played melodies. I was focusing on melodies the most of my in that in on those tracks. The most of my time was just taken by melodies, which I don't really usually do. And that was the period when a life experience happens when I don't feel like doing what I usually do in production. When I just want to do what I feel, even though if it goes out of the borders of progressive house, even though if it isn't like club friendly or anything, I just want to do it for myself. And I did it with these three tracks, and they are signed a couple of days ago to a really huge label. I cannot really talk right now, but I'm really proud, and maybe that's my one of my proudest moments. To sign those tracks that were a reflection of my emotions and my soul at that point, which wasn't really in a good state. Uh, so yeah, something good happens for every bad situation, I guess, and that was mine for sure. And I cannot wait to share it with you. Maybe I can share it exclusively with you, of course, after to hear
Um,
it.
I think it's a nice segue into my final question, which is um, for your fans, even if you can't go into specifics, what are some things that they should be excited about from Hoban Rude heading into the new year?
Okay, so guys, this video, this interview isn't going live today, so I can say it.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I've got an invite for something I've been dreaming for 10 years. I'm gonna play at Exit Dance Arena next year. It's like the biggest, it's like the peak time place in this region where you can play, I guess, like with a huge roster of artists I've been looking up to from day one. For on a stage for 20,000 people, it's just a dream of every artist. So it's gonna happen next year. Uh, I'm working on my Argentina tour. I also have some scheduled gigs abroad in Europe, which I'll be speaking on soon when we post it. And regarding production, I what I can share for now is I have 3 releases coming up. It's on by my dear friend Casey Taylor and Cal by Vapor. I have an EP. I have an EP on Proton Music, which I was really happy to see you on last meeting and to finally meet you, man. I have an EP coming on Proton and a remix on my home on Mango Alley. That's what I can share for now. A lot of music, of course, coming up, which I cannot really share. I'm sorry right now because of the respect towards the label and to the contracts. But a lot of music, guys, coming up. And what I really want to use here is to say thank you to all of you, to the messages I've been getting from you guys. I always try to, and I do answer to everyone to just say how grateful I am. I know it sounds cliche and everybody said it, but really without you, all of this doesn't make sense. Without you guys, without you, Will, without Progressive Nasuza, without the people around this community, you guys are backbone from all of this. You guys have been, somebody who's pushing us producers and DJs from day one, and it isn't, speaked enough about. So truly thankful from deep down of my heart. We're there for you. We're there to bring a smile on your face. We're there to, to how to say, give you a feel of, to forget your problems and a bit. And we are there all as one. Producers, journalists, clubbers, everyone. We are one family. And I'm really happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, no, this was really such a great chat, and it's so nice to speak with you at length. It's your passion that immediately shines through for me. So all I can say is thank you so much for taking the time. I'm so happy that we got to meet at ADE and that turned
Me too,
into
man.
this interview.
Yeah,
And I'm sure our paths will cross again before next ADE. So thank you so much, Hobin, and I'll hopefully see you soon, my man.
Will, thank you so much one more time. I know I told you numerous times, but I want to say it again. Thank you for everything you've been doing to our scene, for our scene. Uh, I don't know that. Do you realize how huge of a contribution you have, and how much you affect people to follow us and to just be there with us? And thank you so much for everything you've been doing, man. I really appreciate it, and you always have my support if you need anything, or I'm just one message away. And I'm
Uh,
sure we're gonna see each other soon. Thank you
Yeah,
again.
it's so nice. I get like goosebumps when you say stuff like that. So thank
Thank,
you, man.
thank
And
you, man.
yeah, this was really, really a special chat. So thanks.
Likewise, man. Thank you for having me. All the best.